So go ahead and make your way down onto your back. I'm going to record here.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so finding a nice neutral position with the pelvis, with the rib cage. Heels are in line with the sits bones, and knees are in line with the hips and the feet. So everything is nice and structurally sound here. Now first, if you want to give that feedback by placing your hands on your hips and creating that little diamond shape, just to check in with your neutral pelvis, go ahead and do so. Lengthen the back of your neck and then drive into the balls of your feet and lift your heels, keeping your ankles neutral. So just waking up the ankles a little bit, fire up your core, draw everything into that diamond, heels down, and start to bounce the heels up and down, trying to keep the ankles neutral, waking up the feet, waking up the calves. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then heels come down. And now we're going to do that same thing, but we're going to lift the soles of the feet. Again, thinking neutral. So make sure that the feet aren't turning inward or turning out, lifting and keeping the sacrum grounded. So the back of the pelvis stays really grounded here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Peace fingers go to your hip creases. Working some hip flexion here. Lift your right knee and as far as you can, bring that right knee in without shifting the pelvis. And then we're walking back and forth. Right knee, left knee, true hip flexion. Go about 2 more on either side. And then feet come down, check your alignment, knees in line with the hips. And then make your hands into fists and take the arms down by the sides. So arms are long down by the sides. Squeeze your glutes, lift up into a neutral bridge. Hips, rib cage are in one line. And then right arm is going to lift up over your head and reach over your head all the way to the floor. Everything stays neutral in your torso. Right arm down. And left arm reaches up and over all the way to the floor. And down. Keep telling those glutes to stay on. Right arm lifts. Right arm down. Rib cage stays closed down. Going back and forth one more time each side. And then when the left arm finishes down, both arms reach up and over and then come back down. Keep squeezing in the glutes. Do 5 here, reaches up and over. Rib cage doesn't flare open as soon as you get those arms overhead. Finishing with the arms down, release the hips down, extend your right leg up toward the ceiling. Keep as much of a bend in that knee as you need. Just starting to lengthen through the back of that right leg. And as you look up at your right toes, spread your toes as far apart as you can. Now check in with your left knee. Make sure your left knee isn't kicking out to the left. Make sure that knee is still in line with that left hip. Left arm reaches up, right hand grabs the fingers where they meet the hand and little pull back, stretch out the wrists. Eyeballs go to your right toes and make sure that you have that spread, that opening through the sole of the foot. And right leg comes down, left arm releases, extend the left leg up, as much of a bend there as you need. Feeling a little opening through that hamstring, spreading the toes. Right arm reaches up, flexing at the wrist and pulling those right fingers back with the left hand. Check in with your sacrum. Think heavy sacrum. So when we think heavy sacrum, it prevents us from going into a posterior tilt when we have our leg up here, which would mean our pubic bone is lifting and our hip bones are sinking back and we lose our low back. So if you think heavy sacrum, that's going to help you maintain the integrity in your low back. And right arm down, left leg down. Setting ourselves up for core, hands cup the skull, knees stack over the hips, and there really is a sweet spot here. We don't want the knees too close past the hips, and we don't want them too far away, really trying to find that position directly over the sacrum. Take an inhale here, make sure your elbows are pointing straight up toward the sky. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades, gaze goes in toward your belly button. Take the elbows, point them 2 inches to the left as you keep your left shoulder blade lifted. Extend the right leg at about a 70-degree angle. 90 degrees would be straight up. 20 degrees farther out is that 70-degree mark. Come back to center, bend the right knee. Inhale, come down. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades. Gaze goes towards your belly button. Elbows point 2 inches over to the right as your shoulders follow. Left leg extends. Back to center and down. Inhale. Exhale, slow controlled exhale. Twist as you continue to exhale. Extend the right leg. So we're twisting left, extending the right leg. Try and hold the breath at the bottom for a little longer than you're used to. If you need to take some sips of air, that's okay. And then big inhale, come back to neutral and down. Exhale, lift right back up, twist to the right, extend, hold that exhale at the bottom if you can. And then come back and down, big full inhale. Exhale, lift up one more time each side, twist to the left, extend the right leg. Inhale, back to center and down. Exhale, lift, twist right, extend left, and back down. Release the feet, heel toe the feet about mat width apart, a little wider than the hips. Interlace all the fingers into a fist and then reach the arms up over your head. Drop both knees over toward the left, press into your right foot and lift that right hip bone up a little bit, feeling the stretch all along that right side body. As you squeeze the right glute and drive into that right foot, let your right knee point down as much as possible toward the mat so you get that lengthening along the front of the quad as well. Arms stay up overhead, thinking about that rib cage still as you bring the knees back through center and then drop the knees over to the right. As you press into the left foot, reach the left knee down and away and drive the left hip bone up. If you can, when we're doing this move, try and keep your scaps grounded, so both scapula stay grounded. And then bring the knees back to center, arms release, setting up for one more set of core. This next move is kind of quickly becoming my favorite new move. Hands cup the skull, knees stack over the pelvis. Inhale here. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades, starting the same way we did before. Twist to the left, extend the right leg. Now, the left knee is going to externally rotate, pelvis stays neutral. So the left knee is the one that's bent. Take it out to the left and then try and internally rotate. So bring the knee as far in toward your midline as you can as you take the left foot out to the side. That movement is probably not going to go very far. So this little kind of funky chicken move, internal, external rotation from that left hip joint. Keep your left shoulder blade lifted. Elbows are pulling in. And then bring the left knee to neutral, bend the right knee, and release everything down. Inhale. Exhale, lift up, twist right, extend that left leg 70 degrees, not too far out in front of you, and then internal, external rotation of that right hip joint. The knee shows us the rotation, but the rotation is happening from the hip. And then right knee to neutral, left knee bends. Inhale, come down. We're gonna add on to that movement. So keep the knees stacked and yeah, we'll just do it. Inhale. Exhale, lift up, twist left, extend the right leg. Now we're gonna make this internal, external rotation bigger with the left knee. So really take that left knee out to the side as much as you can while keeping a neutral pelvis. Then as you come in, you're going to extend the left leg a little bit and see if you can bring your left knee behind your right knee. And then externally rotate and then lengthen out and bring the left knee behind the right knee. Do about 2 more here. Big activation all through the core. And then bring everything back to neutral and release it down. Inhale. Exhale, lift it up, twist to the right, extend the left leg. Big movement with the right hip joint. Externally rotate. Then as you internally rotate, extend the legs. You can sneak that right knee behind the left knee. Open up and back. Out, behind. 2 more. And then everything comes back to neutral. Inhale, release it down and release the feet as we rotate over and come into tabletop. Stacking the joints in tabletop. And to start out here, we're going to do a little bit of shoulder mobility. So when you're in your tabletop, make sure you're erring on the side of a narrower base so we're not too extended. Really bring those knees underneath the hip bones. Extend your left arm out in front, making a fist with your left hand. With your thumb, the thumb is on top of the fist. So your arm is kind of in a neutral position here. Now, you're going to lift your left arm up until you can't lift it up anymore. Then we're going to start to externally rotate. So your fist is going to start to go out to the left side. And as you do so, you're going to reach up, around, keep rotating until you come all the way back by your hip with your fingers in that fist pointing up. And then we're going to come back the other way. You're going to lift the fist as high as you can first, and then start to internally rotate as you bring the arm around, finishing with the pinky finger down and the thumb up. We're going to do that 1 more time, going nice and slow. Check in, make sure that your shoulders aren't compensating or your sternum isn't compensating. We're keeping the movement isolated in the shoulder joint itself. So lift the fist as high as you can, then start to externally rotate. Fingers rotate out to the left, and then circle around, coming all the way back to that hip, and then lift first, and then rotate back to the top. Left hand down, going on the other side now. Right arm lifts. Check in with the back of your head. Make sure the back of your head is in line with your scaps. Thumb side up, pinky side down. Lift the fist and then rotate to the right as you go back behind you, finishing with the fingers pointing up. all the way on the back. When you do this, squeeze your right shoulder blade in toward your spine, then lift and rotate all the way back through. One more time, lift the thumb first, then external rotation toward that right side, all the way back. And then lift the fingers and then rotate all the way to the front, thumb up, pinky down, right hand down. Little fire building in those shoulder joints. Now, slide your right foot to the back of the mat. Ball of the right foot is pointing down, or is down. And make sure your scaps are stacked as neutrally as possible on your upper back. Everything stays neutral. Lift the right leg, squeezing the right glute. Right foot comes down. We're gonna lift the left knee, but instead of lifting our pelvis, lifting our hips, you're going to think about hip flexion in your left hip, and you're going to lift the knee by pulling the knee into the chest. Left knee down, right leg lifts. Right leg down, left knee flexion hugs in, down. Right leg, down, left knee, down. One more time, right leg, down, left knee, down. Left knee, left foot is down in line with your left wrist. Open up the hips and shoulders to the right as you plant your right foot and come into a side plank. If you have trouble balancing here, turn your glutes on. Squeeze your glutes, reach your right arm up and over your right ear. Relax the neck, and then keeping your glutes on, lift your right leg. Lean back into your left shoulder a little bit to really solidify that joint. Right foot comes down. Left foot kicks behind you, making a kickstand. Right arm comes up, and then the torso follows as you come up onto that left knee. Then we're going to take our right hand to our belly. Left hand is going to reach up and over as we come into a side body stretch. And then coming back to center, left hand comes to your right hip bone, right arm reaches up and over. Going back the opposite way, right hand to the left hip bone and left arm over. Left hand to the right hip bone, left arm over. Both hands come down to the top of the mat, rotate onto the ball of the right foot. Extend the left foot back, finding plank. Slide your right knee in, stacking the right knee underneath the right hip. And then lift that left leg. Lift, squeezing the left glute. Pulsing here a few times. Back of the head in line with the scaps. Always checking in there. Left foot plants, right knee, right hip flexes to lift the right knee. Right knee down, left leg lifts. Left foot down, right knee in to lift. Down, left leg lifts. Down, right knee. Down, left leg. Right knee. Open everything up to the left as you come into a side plank. And again, one way to solidify this right shoulder is to kind of lean back to it a little bit. Left arm reaches up and over, neck stays relaxed. Squeeze your glutes, especially your right glute, and lift the left leg. Left foot down, right foot kickstands behind you. Left arm comes up, body follows. Left hand to the right hip bone, right arm up and over. Opening up the arms, right hand to the left hip, reach to the right. One more time each side, open to the left. And open to the right. Both hands come down. Right foot comes back into plank. And then release both knees down. Release the forearms, prepping for dolphin. Either interlacing the fingers or keeping the forearms parallel. Lift the knees, lift the rib cage. Gaze goes back toward the toes. As much bend in the knees as you need. Left leg lifts, bend the left knee. Internal and external rotation of that left hip joint. Knee goes in and out. And then make it bigger by bringing the knee a little more behind the right leg. Left knee out, left knee behind the right leg. Left knee out, behind the right leg. Bring the left leg back to neutral. Release the left foot down, dolphin. Right leg lifts, pelvis stays neutral, bend the right knee. Little internal, external rotation to start. Keep lifting the front ribs up. And then make it bigger. External rotation, internal rotation, move that thigh behind the left leg, open and close, open and close. Right leg comes back to neutral, release the right foot down, release the knees, sit it back into child's pose. And then pop it up to standing, grab a drink if you need. And we will get on to our circuit. We've got 2 rounds of our circuit today, 4 exercises each. Or 4 exercises for the circuit, and we're gonna go 2 times through. So this first one, our circuit is for reps. So we're gonna go for 6 reps each side on this first exercise. Now this first one is kind of putting that internal external rotation from the hip joint together with a single leg squat. So what it's going to look like, we're gonna ground into our right leg. And so first we're starting in this kind of standing position with a buoyant knee. And then we externally rotate the left hip here. And then as we squat, you can think about it kind of like a curtsy lunge, but the left knee is going to come in, so the foot kicks out. This looks very weird on video. But so the left foot kicks out and you're bringing the left knee behind your right knee as you single leg squat. And then you come up and externally rotate that left hip, okay? Now, if you want some extra support for this right leg, or if your right knee hip is kind of moving all over the place, when you come down, connect your left hand to your right quad. This can kind of give you a little brace here and keep everything in line. So when you stand, open up, and then left hand goes to that right quad when you sit. It might take a moment to kind of figure out that internal, external rotation. So go slow these first couple until you kind of find that rhythm. So start standing on your right foot. Make sure that right hip isn't kicking out. So squeeze that right glute to make sure that everything is staying in line. External rotation from the left foot. We're gonna try and keep this left foot floating the whole time. Hinge at your right hip crease, sit back, internal rotation of the left hip. So left foot kicks out, and then come up, external rotation. Really sit your hips back, hinge in your right hip crease. Sit it back, knee in, foot out, and up. 4 more. Hinge at the hip crease, left hand to the top of the right thigh, and up. You can keep your right fingers in that hip crease to give you feedback. Down, and up. 2 more. Down, and up. Sit it back. Left knee behind the right knee, left foot out to the left, and up. Let's go 1 more, just so we get this movement, and up. Beautiful. Switching to the other side. Hopefully you've got a lot of activation in that right hip. So now left fingers come to that left hip crease. That's gonna help us really get that hip hinge coming back. And then right hand is ready to connect with our left quad. External rotation from the left hip. And then squat down, internal rotation of the right hip as we come down, and open and down. Squeezing that left glute, especially as you're standing up. Use your butt. 3 more. Nice and slow. Really finding that internal rotation at the bottom. Last one. Release the right leg. And then coming into our first set of side lunges. So side lunges are very similar to what you've probably done before, but emphasis on our hip hinge. So when you sit into this side lunge, skull, scap, sacrum, all in a line, front body pulling up toward the back body, hinging into your hip crease. So those are the keys that we're taking into this side lunge. And then we're going back and forth. So for this first set, peace fingers in your hip creases. We're gonna do 10 each side. Neutral neck, so gaze is down toward the floor, a little bit out in front of your feet. So we're doing 20 total, 10 each side. Neutral posture the whole time. 3, 2, 1. And then right into our next movement. So our next movement is going to be some of that bilateral movement I was talking about at the beginning. So we're going to start in a chair pose at the top of our mat, or wherever, whatever we're standing on. So starting in a chair, feet are hip width distance apart, and we're thinking triple hinge position, ankles, knees, hips. Arms go up, biceps frame the ears as you bring the hands into fists. When you bring those arms overhead, don't let that rib cage open up. If you can't come all the way next to your ears, keep those arms a little more out in front. Now, from this position, we're gonna step our right foot back, coming into a high lunge, and take our left arm with it. Right foot forward, left arm up. Left leg back, right arm back. And come back to neutral, moving at this pace. Right foot slides back, left arm comes back. Seal that left shoulder blade on the upper back. When you come back, squeeze your tricep and then come back forward. Left foot, right arm. Moving in unison and
left foot up, right arm up. 3 more each side. Right leg back, left arm. And up. Left leg, right arm. Back up. 2 more, right leg, left arm. And forward. Left leg, right arm. Keep drawing that diamond together. Bring the arm and leg back forward. 1 more time each side. Think about that diamond. Pull everything together. Right leg, left arm. And forward. Left leg, right arm. And forward. Squeeze your glutes. Stand it up. And we're going side to side. Side lunges. If you want a little different key, 1 hand to the belly, 1 hand to the sacrum. 20 total. Lift through the back of the head, keeping the neck neutral. Hips reach back when you lunge. Those knees stay behind the toes. Once you get to your 20, you're good. And then jumping into movement number 3, we've got, we're gonna be down on the mat for this one. So this is some back and upper body work. So go ahead and come down onto your belly. Now, when we're working this on our back, we're gonna be doing some of those press ups that we did last week. When you're pressing your body weight up, think about those 3 S's, skull, scap, sacrum, all lifting in a line. And we're going to bring our hands underneath our shoulders, lift up into a little baby cobra. Gaze is at your mat. Knees are pressing down. Now the first movement we're going to do is a reach out. So we're gonna hold this position and reach our arms forward with our thumbs pointing up. And then bring the arms back underneath the shoulders, keeping everything in line. Press up, lower down, keep the heads of the shoulders lifted, reach, and back. Hug your belly button up and in, press, and down. Reach. Don't let your belly go. Lift your belly up toward your back body and see if you can pull your belly button up toward your ribs. Press up, lower down. We've got 3 more. Reach. Hands in, press it up, lower down. 2 more. Reach. Hands underneath the shoulders, heads of the shoulders still stay lifted. Lift, lower, reach it out, back in, lift, lower, and go ahead and come all the way up. Back to standing. We're gonna add some arms, a little bit of arms to our side lunges now. So as we're going side to side, when you go to the left, right hand comes down, left arm goes out. Switching side to side. So the side you lunge to, that arm reaches straight out to the side, other arm touches midline in the middle. 10 each side. Feeling that expansion across your collarbones when you're reaching. And when you're done with your 20, go ahead and relax. And so when I'm talking about that opening through the chest, when you reach, you want to make sure that your shoulder isn't rounding forward. So feeling that scap hug in a little bit into that neutral position instead of coming into protraction when you're reaching out. As athletes, we tend to be rounded forward, so we're constantly having to kind of create that space. Last one. This one, it's a little awkward. So these are frog type jumps or happy squat jumps. So you're going to take your feet about shoulder width distance apart. And then we're going to sink into triple flexion. So ankles, knees, hips, trying to keep an open heart and as neutral a pelvis as we can here. We're gonna plant our hands and we want our feet a little wider than our hands. So if your feet are inside your hands, bring them a little wider. Now, we're going to take 3 hops backwards. So we're going to come into our hands and take a little hop back. And then our hands come down, little hop back. We want to make this as controlled and kind of graceful as possible. So it's 3 hops back, and then we bring the hands forward, we rock into our shoulders, and bring the feet up. Forward, up for 3. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Hands plant, hop back. Think about lifting, using your core to lift your pelvis up to do your hops. So 3 up, 3 back. And then stand it up, probably feeling it in those quads. And we've got 1 more set of our side lunges with arms. Beautiful, that's circuit number 1. That is done. So now we're gonna do that whole thing 1 more time. And the only big change is we're going to add a layer to those side lunges. So we're gonna add a little plyometric work with the side lunges. So right away, single leg squats. We're gonna start with that right leg. So standing tall and standing tall through the pelvis. Right hand, make sure that right hip is staying in. Externally rotate that left foot. And you can also definitely grab a drink if you need a drink. Now, left or right hand to that right hip crease. Left hand is ready to connect to the right quad. We start an external rotation with that left foot, and then we sit into hip flexion, internally rotate that left leg. Left foot goes out to the left, left knee behind, and lift and externally rotate. We've got 6 of these on each leg, trying to be as correct as possible with our movements. So go as slow as you need to make it correct. And then after you do 6 on one side, we've got 6 with the left leg, left hand to the left hip crease, right hand ready to go across that midline, externally rotate, and then internally rotate. Six total on this leg. Still staying consciously connected to that diamond. Pulling everything in with that core. And when you're done, we're going into plyo side lunges. So all we're going to do is we're going to add a little hop in between. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, Side lunge, you can add the arms, and then as you come up, it's 1, 2, 3. Or I guess it's just 1, 2. Push up, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we're doing 10 each side. So as you drive up off your right leg, your right foot comes in, left foot kicks out. Left foot in, right foot out. Trying to manipulate our whole center of gravity through space with the neutral pelvis. So you've got 10 each side. I've completely lost count. So go ahead and own your count right now. And then once you're done with 20, we've got second round of chair to high lunge. So feet come hip width distance apart. Sit the hips back. 3 S's in line, diamond hugging in. The tendency is for that booty to pop and for the hip bones to come forward. Neutral low back. It doesn't mean we're tucking, but it means we're neutral. Hands and fists reach up on either side of the ears. Thumbs are up, pinky fingers are down. And then we're gonna slide the right leg back. Left arm comes back on the opposite side of the body. Left arm up, right foot up. Left foot back, right arm back. Squeeze that tricep, hug the shoulder blade in toward the spine. Come up, right leg, left arm, and up. Left leg, right arm. Back up, hug the diamond in. Don't let that low back go away. Right arm, left, or right leg, left arm, and up. Opposite side. So once you find your rhythm, we're halfway there. You've got 3 more each side. Going again as slow as you need to maintain control and correctness of the movement. Make sure when you extend the single leg back, that glute turns on. And then as soon as you're done, you've got that same plyo side lunge, 10 to either side. So it's a hop out, sit it back. Finishing up your 20, and then taking 2 deep breaths before coming down onto your belly for our press ups. So expand that rib cage, fill the rib cage. Once we get down on our belly, it's gonna be a little harder to breathe. So coming down on the belly, hands are planted underneath the shoulders. Heads of the shoulders are lifted. Scaps are neutral on that upper back. Pull your belly button up as you press the hip bones down and reach the arms out in front. Hands come back underneath the shoulders. Press everything up in unison. And down. Reach. Head stay lifted. Bend the knees. Press up. Come down. Feet down, reach, hands under the shoulders, bend the knees, press up. 3 more, feet down, reach it out. Hands underneath, bend the knees, press up and down. Feet down, reach, back in, bend the knees, press up, down, feet down, reach, hands underneath, Oh, bend the knees, press up. Last one. Lower, feet down, reach, hands under the shoulders, bend the knees, press up, lower, and then come all the way up to standing. Second to last set of our lunges. And then last one, we're gonna get those hip flexors, we're gonna get those quads with our happy squat jumps. So this is a 3x3x3. You hop back 3, forward 3, 3 times. Feet are at least shoulder width apart, so wider than where we're gonna set our hands. So maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width. Big flexion in the hips, in the knees, in the ankles. You plant the palms and then little controlled hop back for 3. Lift the pelvis into the air and hop forward. We've got 3 sets. If you're still going, squeeze your sits bones together when you hop. That's gonna help you engage your pelvic floor. And then done. Right in while the heart rate is lifted. Right into those side lunges. Keep your pelvis neutral. Big hip flexion. Your hip flexors are tired. Don't let the pelvis compensate. The first one I did, my pelvis totally tipped because my hip flexors are tired. Finish your 20 and get a drink. That is it. Grab a drink, nice full inhales. Control your exhale. Good way to control your exhale is to breathe out through a straw. So not literally, but make a straw shape with your mouth and exhale out of the straw. I need to find a different physical cue for that because every time I did that, it looks like I was smoking a joint. So I should probably not do that anymore.